The Last Leaf by O. Henry. In a little district west of Washington Square, on the top floor of a little 3-story brick building, Sue and Johnsy had their studio apartment. Johnsy was a nickname for Joanna. One year, a cold, unseen stranger whom the doctors called Mr. Pneumonia stalked about the city, stinging one here and one there with his icy fingers. While some survived the illness, that year Mr. Pneumonia took the lives of most people it afflicted. One morning, Johnsy began to have trouble breathing, so Sue invited their doctor over. She has a 1 chance in, let's say, 10 to survive this pneumonia. Her lungs are filled with fluid, he said to Sue. A 1 in 10 chance? Wow, what great odds, said Johnsy, who was eavesdropping on their conversation. That is, of course, the doctor added, only if she wants to live. And unfortunately, your little roommate has made up her mind that she's not going to get well. When the doctor left, Sue noticed that Johnsy was looking out the window and counting backwards. 12, she said, and a little later 11, and then 10, and 9, and then 8 and 7, almost together. Sue looked curiously out of the window. What was there to count? All that could be seen from the window was an old, dying vine of ivy. What is it, dear? Asked Sue. 6, said Johnsy, in almost a whisper. They're falling faster now. 3 days ago there was almost 100. It made my head ache to count them. But now it's easy. There goes another one. There are only 5 leaves left on the ivy vine. When the last one dies and falls, I must die too. Oh, I never heard of such nonsense, complained Sue. You must have hope. Stop counting and try to sleep. Once Johnsy was sleeping, Sue visited their neighbor, Mr. Behrman, to tell him about Johnsy's illness. Old Behrman was a painter who lived on the ground floor beneath them. He was past 60 and was an eccentric man with a funny beard curling down from his head and rumpled, outdated clothes. Despite his messy appearance, Behrman was a beautiful artist. Sue expected Mr. Behrman to be upset when he heard that Johnsy was given such a low chance of survival. But instead, he stormed outside with his paints and a ladder. As Sue watched from below, Mr. Behrman painted one small ivy leaf on the brick wall. His skill was incredible. It looked just like the other leaves. Perhaps if she believes this last leaf to be real, she will see it as a survivor, and she will strive to survive too, he said with a smile from ear to ear. The next morning, Johnsy woke with a shock. The last leaf is alive, she exclaimed. I thought it would surely fall during the night. I heard the wind. It will fall today, I'm sure, and I shall die at the same time. But the day wore away, and even through the twilight they could see the lone ivy leaf clinging to its stem against the wall. Then a whole week passed, and the ivy leaf did not fall. In fact, it looked stronger, and so did Johnsy. Once Johnsy made a full recovery, Sue decided to bring a basket of fruit to Mr. Behrman to thank him for not only painting the leaf, but also for going out each night to touch it up. He wanted to be sure that Johnsy did not realize it was fake. When she reached his studio, she could not find Mr. Behrman, so she knocked on another neighbor's door to ask where he was. This neighbor answered the door with tears in her eyes. Oh, Sue, she said, I have something to tell you, dear. Mr. Behrman died of pneumonia. I saw him yesterday looking an inch from death, and he passed away in the middle of the night. He was ill only 2 days. When the doctor found him this morning, he was on the floor. His shoes and clothing were wet through and icy cold. And then they found a lantern, a ladder that had been dragged from its place, some scattered paintbrushes, and a palette with green and yellow colors mixed on it. I can't imagine why he had been painting outside on such a dreadful night. Immediately, Sue understood what happened. Mr. Behrman came down with pneumonia from going outside in the cold to repaint the leaf for Johnsy. He died after going out in the middle of the night to make one final touch-up, his final masterpiece.